Hey guys, welcome back. I think we can safely say that magicians just do illusions, right? We all know that. But sometimes they will do some crazy physical tricks that actually put their body on the line and they can get seriously hurt. These magicians went beyond that and unfortunately lost or almost lost their lives doing a magic trick that had the desired effect of shocking people, but it was just for another reason altogether. Let's get started. But first, give this video a like and make sure to subscribe. The Delinskys were a very famous husband and wife duo that traveled Europe in the 1800s, doing their incredible magic tricks. Their most famous being the bullet catch. This one was a little bit different, as Madame Delinsky would stand in front of a 6-man firing squad and would catch all 6 bullets fired at her. The trick was done by the duo instructing the soldiers to bite away the bullet and instead load a blank. In the meantime, she would have 6 bullets hit her away ready to show the crowd. In 1820, while pregnant, the show had to go on, and while they were performing in front of the German royal family, the worst possible thing happened. One of the soldiers was very nervous to be on stage, and being uncomfortable and nervous, he basically turned to his muscle memory and loaded a live round into his gun, doing what he just always did. Worst of all, the bullet hit her in the abdomen, killing the baby instantly, and Madame Delinsky died 2 days later. Some of the audience fainted upon seeing the accident, and the husband was eventually driven mad from the shock. One of Houdini's most famous tricks was escaping from a milk can that has been locked up from the outside. Of course, these milk cans all have some sort of trick to them, and this one had a special escape hatch that would allow him to escape. Unfortunately for the magician, Gilbert Ganesta, the milk can was dropped prior to the trick being performed while it was being set up for its last trick in 1930. The drop damaged the escape hatch, rendering it completely unusable as it became stuck. Nobody in the crew or Ganesta himself knew of this failure, so they continued on with the trick by filling the milk can with water, and Ganesta climbed in for the very last time. Eventually, the stagehands realized that something was off when Ganesta failed to make his escape, so they lowered the curtains, opened the milk can, and the doctor rushed to the stage to provide assistance. Somehow they managed to revive the unconscious Ganesta, but he passed away at the hospital where he mentioned that in 10 years of performing this trick, he had never failed. Magic can be a hard business to get famous in and make a good living, but Joseph Burroughs was working hard, comparing himself to his idol, the legendary Harry Houdini. Apparently, being buried alive was extremely difficult to do, and nobody had really accomplished it. Houdini tried it once, but he had to be rescued and he passed out after being taken out. In comes the Amazing Joe in 1989, doing the trick successfully at an amusement park. It worked out perfectly, but that's not what the list is about. The year after, he wanted to try it again, but this time he was doing it at a benefit for a recovery clinic, as he was a recovering addict. As all magicians, he wanted to one-up the previous trick, so this time he decided on adding cement to the dirt that would be poured on top of him, and he would bust out as they were pouring it and amaze everybody. Burroughs had built the coffin himself, and although it was very strong and enough to withstand the weight of the dirt, he did not account for the incredible weight of the cement, and as soon as the pouring ended and the truck drove away, the coffin collapsed and he was crushed to death. Everybody, including his parents and kids who were present at the time, jumped in to try and dig him out, but they got to him too late and he died in the middle of his trick. Everybody saw how the cement suddenly dropped, meaning the box had collapsed and Joe was crushed. Chung Ling So was a magician, and you might think that he was a Chinese magician. But nope, he was just some racist white guy named William Ellsworth Robinson who saw an ad looking for a Chinese magician, so he dressed up in yellowface in full Chinese attire, replicating racist notions of Eastern mysticism and magic. Anyway, Robinson had a very famous trick where he would catch a bullet shot from a trick double-barreled gun. He would load the real bullet that he had shown the audience in one barrel, while in the other barrel he loaded in a blank. Problem with Robinson was that just like his act, he was really lazy and would never clean up his gun. He would never properly remove all the gunpowder, thus a channel of gunpowder built up over time from the blank barrel to the real bullet barrel, and thus the real bullet was fired at him in 1918 while performing at the Wood Green Empire in London. In his act, he would never speak, saying that he didn't really speak English, although sometimes he would utter things in broken English, keeping to his offensive persona. The night he was shot, he actually had to use his real voice and said, "Oh my God, Something's happened. Lower the curtain. His death was ruled an accident after an investigation, clearing his assistant of any wrongdoing. Carr the Magician, also known as Charles Rowan, was a magician early in the 1900s. He was famous for his many escape tricks from straitjackets and apparently was the first jackass, as he was also known for jumping into piles of broken glass and staples. In his most daring escape, he would be strapped to a straitjacket while a man drove straight at him in a car from 2 football fields away at 45 freaking miles an hour. If you know your math, this would give him 10 seconds to escape the straitjacket and jump out of the way, which seems like it's not enough time. But he had done it time and time again, with no issues. This time though, he was too late and was unable to escape and dodge the car in time. The car hit him straight on and dismembered him in front of a huge crowd of spectators, including kids. Escaping from being submerged underwater is very terrifying, but the very best magicians can hold their breath for minutes at a time. 10 seconds while looking at the car speeding right at you must be very intimidating. Pedro Volta was a participant in Spain's Got Talent competition, and he has been doing magic for over 20 years. Specifically, he has been doing daring escapes that leave people amazed. In 2018 though, he had a close run-in with death as he was trying his most famous trick. He is tied up in a straitjacket and put into a tank filled to the brim with water, and to make sure the trick is even crazier, it has a lid on it and it is locked from the outside. Volta is supposed to free himself of the jacket very quickly and then start working on the locks. This specific time though, something went wrong. Apparently, a thread or something got stuck on his straitjacket and he was struggling for too long and couldn't get free. Then, after panicking a bit, he started to grow more frustrated and spent way too much energy on this part of the trick. Eventually, he just passed out under the water as he was drowning in front of the entire audience. Eventually, his team noticed that something was wrong and they opened up the box, but not before he had spent about 2 minutes underwater. He was rescued and taken to the hospital, where he actually was in cardiorespiratory arrest for 4 minutes. He miraculously survived this terrible ordeal where he traumatized countless kids. But he did say that he loves magic and will never stop doing this trick. These are nothing like those card tricks or those sleight of hand tricks. These actually cause physical reaction in anybody who sees them, because you can actually see how much physical exertion is required to do them. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time.